What is happening, people, and welcome to today's video where I want to share with you guys my latest 28-day experiment, and this time I was playing around with Mace workouts. Now, all this began because I was looking on Instagram and on YouTube, and I saw people doing this type of unconventional training with a mace and kind of swinging around their head and doing some offset training and stuff like that. And I thought it looked cool, but I was always asking myself, like, where are you actually feeling that? What benefits are you reaping? Like, what's going on with it all? So what I thought I'd do is take 28 days, experiment with it, then come on here, let you know whether I think it is worth it or not, and share with you my opinion. Now, my very first step was acquiring the mace. So I reached out to a couple people on Instagram who do pretty much nothing but mace training. I asked them what they thought the best brands were, and people came up with two different answers. The first one was CK Maceworks, and the second one was Chris Duffin's Shoulder Rock. And both were highly recommended, but there was a little bit more lean towards the CK Maceworks. So I reached out to that company over Instagram, told them that I was going to make this 28-day experiment video, and asked if they would be willing to provide me with a mace, because they do retail for a little bit over $300, which seems a little bit ridiculous for like a pole that you swing around your head. So luckily they said that they would do this, and do not get this twisted. I am not getting paid for this. I don't have a coupon code to help you guys out. I don't have any of that. That is not going to influence my opinion of what mace training has done for me at all. I'm going to give you my honest, upfront opinion. However, my mace was a CK Maceworks mace. Now, I applied the mace to my training in two different ways. The first of which is on my actual normal weight training days. If you guys have watched me for any amount of time, you'll know that I'm a big fan of giant sets. And the way that I typically lay them out is my antagonistic muscle group, followed by the main muscle mover for the day, and then some sort of core work. So instead of doing the core work, I threw in the mace training, whether it be swinging around my head or doing a little bit of offset work. And then the second way was for active recovery, where I would do it on my days off of the gym just to try to aid in some of the recovery that my body gets beat up from my normal training. And an average workout for that was like 5 swings one side, 5 swings the other side with the mace, and then do 5 to 10 pull-ups, repeat, do it 5 rounds, and that was a basic idea of like an active recovery workout for me. So first things first, let's talk about some of the benefits. First of which is that the mace kind of hits things that I didn't even know really existed, or things that I don't regularly hit during other movements. And when I use the mace, I primarily felt it in my forearms, in my biceps, and in my upper back, some in my core, but really I felt my entire upper body doing a lot of work other than my pecs. My pecs didn't really get involved. I did find though, however, that the better that I got at the movement, because do not get me wrong, this is absolutely a skill, and it takes you a little bit of time to learn how to swing that mace around your head in a really efficient sort of way. And the more efficient that I got with the movement, the less benefit that I felt like I was getting. This is very similar to doing something like burpees. If you're very good at doing burpees, then they don't tire you out as much as if you're not very good at burpees and it is inefficient movement. And I found that when using the mace, the more efficient that I became with it, the easier it became to do weight, as well as I just felt it less in general. So just realize that if you do try some of this, there is definitely a learning curve, but once you get it, you can add a good bit of weight pretty quickly. Now, the second and probably biggest benefit that I experienced from the mace training is that it made my shoulders feel a lot better. Kind of like Chris Duffin talks about with the shoulder rock. Just using it all of the time must have done something, because I have a torn rotator cuff on this side. I've had 2 shoulder surgeries on this side. So after a pressing day, whether it be a bench press day or an overhead press day, I often get a little bit of soreness and just bad feelings in my shoulders. However, when I was using the mace every single day, all of that cleared up and I was feeling great. A third benefit of the mace is that I would say that it's versatile, right? Like, you can only do mace things with a mace. That said, if I had to do it all over again and I did not get gifted a mace from a company just because of being on YouTube and stuff like that, I think you can very easily replicate a lot of these movements with a heavy sledgehammer or a heavy splitting maul, or even if you took like a coffee can and you filled it with concrete and you put a pole in it, I think you could get a lot of the same benefits. But the beauty of having the actual mace or the shoulder rock is that you can actually manipulate the weight on the end of it, and something like 20 pounds can absolutely level you. It is so much harder than a lot of these guys make it look. So if you are going to do it, I would encourage you to start out lighter, maybe with something like a sledgehammer, and then just increase weight from there. Now, moving on to the negatives of mace work, and I think the biggest one for me was the variety. If you buy a barbell, you can do so many different things with it. If you buy a kettlebell, you can do so many different things, a dumbbell, all those stuff. However, if you have a mace, you can kind of swing it around your head and you can do a little bit of offset stuff, but it really doesn't have the variety of movements that a normal piece of equipment would have, especially for the cost of like $300. That'd probably be my second negative, is that it is very expensive for what you're actually paying for. However, as I mentioned before, it is tough to mimic unless you have a bunch of different weight sledgehammers or you're going to create something on your own. Which brings me to the biggest question that everyone wants to know: is mace training worth it? And I think it is. I would say that it is worth it. Maybe not every single day, maybe for active recovery, maybe a little bit in place of like a core exercise or something like that. I think that it can definitely be used like that. I think using it every single day was a little much because I just felt like I was doing a lot of the same stuff. And honestly, if I had to do it all over again and did not receive a mace, then I probably would have made one of my own and just tried different things with sledgehammers to see the different effects that I could get. Like I said, it does hit your body in a different sort of way than anything else that I've used before, and there is definitely a learning pattern towards it. And one of the problems that I found, at least, was that the better I became at swinging the mace, the easier all of it became, and I just got less training effect from it. So, do I think it's worth it? I think you could try it. Is it worth being like the full staple of my unconventional type of training? I would much rather see you go with something like sandbags or kettlebells or something else where you can do more different movements with the actual implement that you spend so much money to get. You can buy a lot of sandbags for the price of one mace and you can do a lot more with them. So I'd probably rather see people do that for the functionality and the functional training strength that you can gain. However, if you do have a bunch of extra money or you have a heavy sledgehammer around your house, try swinging that thing around your head. See how it hits your body in different sorts of ways, because I'm telling you, my forearms got better developed. I felt it a lot in my biceps because I don't do a lot of bicep work, and a lot of my upper back got hit in ways that doesn't get hit in other areas of the gym. That said, was it worth $300? I probably would not spend $300 to get a mace. I don't know how much the Chris Duffin shoulder rock costs. Maybe it's a little bit cheaper. Maybe that's a good price point. But honestly, I would definitely try to replicate this movement with something else if you are interested in this unorthodox type of training. So there you go. There is my opinion of mace training. You might want to go to someone else's page who does a lot more unorthodox training, and kind of the mace is more of a staple of their programming because maybe they have some better things to say. But for me personally, it will stay in my workout routine, just not all of the time, right? I think I'll use it more for the active recovery purposes because I really did like that. It really did help my shoulders feel better than they felt in a very long time. However, for the price point, I think you can easily replicate it with a sledgehammer or a splitting maul or something that you create on your own. So I don't know that I'd go rushing out and buy anything unless you just have a bunch of money that you want to spend on an implement like this. Like I said earlier, I'd much rather see you spend it on sandbags or something like that. But that is my opinion of mace training. It will stay in my regimen, however, not all of the time. So I hope that was helpful to some of you who've been looking at this and doing the same things that I am, like where's that hitting, what's it doing? It looks kind of cool, but is it worth it? So that's kind of my true, honest assessment of what I think of it. Thank you guys so much for absolutely every single thing that you do to support the channel, from the likes, the subscribes, the comments, the buying the programs at neverstate.com. Believe me, that is the #1 way that the channel is supported, and I thank each and every single one of you. I have like 20 or 30 programs up there now, so if you have any type of goals, believe me, there's a program for that goal. And if you don't know which one is for you, then just email me at neverstate@gmail.com, and I'm happy to point you towards where I think the best fit for you would be. So I thank you guys so much for absolutely everything. I will catch you later in the week. Until I do go out something amazing in my lives, keep working hard, people. Be nice to each other. I'll see you then.